I would first of all like to thank the organizers of the 4th edition of Manohar Parrikar Vigyan Mahotsav for inviting me here and addressing this young audience who are going to be the future leaders of this country. So, as was shown in the film today morning, where they showed that the Chief Minister, the former Chief Minister of Goa and also our former Defence Minister, wanted to make Goa a science technological hub, and he had a vision for bringing in science, technology, innovation and sustainability to his state. So in line with this, I think the topic that I had chosen is a fitting tribute to the former Chief Minister of Goa. So as my topic spells out, it is Internet of Things, making dumb things smarter. So now, before I start speaking about this topic, I would just like to briefly talk about my office to which I belong. As was introduced, I am the Scientific Secretary in the Office of Principal Scientific Advisor to Government of India. Now, as you see the relation, it is the Prime Minister's office, under which we have two offices, one is the Cabinet Secretariat and the other is the Principal Scientific Advisor. So, Office of the Principal Scientific Advisor. So, we report to the Prime Minister office via the Cabinet Secretariat. So, if you all know that Dr. Abdul Kalam, who was the President of India, was the first Principal Scientific Advisor to Government of India. This was followed by Dr. Chidambaram. Then we had Dr. Professor Vijayaraghavan, and currently the PSA is Professor A.K. Sood. So the main aim of this office is to provide pragmatic and objective advice to the Prime Minister and the Cabinet in matters of science and technology. Is my voice echoing? Is it okay? Because I can feel the echo. And the Principal Scientific Advisor also chairs the Prime Minister's Science, Technology and Innovation Council and also the Empowered Technology Group. These two committees are very high committees, are very, very important committees for bringing science and technology and innovation to the country. So basic aim is to evolve, this is done with basic aim to evolve S&T and innovation policies, strategies and missions for multiple application, generate S&T tasks in critical infrastructure, economic and social sectors in partnership with government department, institutes and industries. Now, the role of the PSA to Government of India, that is our office role, is basically to facilitate S&T fundamentals with applied research and collaboration with multiple stakeholders, both in central and state government. This is basically to enable future preparedness in emerging domains of science and technology. For this, we formulate and coordinate major interministerial S&T missions, thus providing enabling ecosystem for technology-led innovations and techno-entrepreneurship. This helps in driving innovation, and that is what was actually envisioned by the former Chief Minister of Goa. It also helps in fostering effective public-private linkages for driving research and innovation. Now, I don't know how many of the students know that these days we encourage that industry closely participates with the government. We are encouraging startups. So we have to bring in all the stakeholders to actually work for the S&T ecosystem of the country. This is the slide that shows that civil society, government, academia and the industry work together to build up the science, technology, innovation ecosystem in the country. So for this, the Office of PSA interacts with the central ministry, it interacts also with the state ministries. You must have seen in the vision, the film that was shown in the morning, in two or three slides, you could very clearly see that the Principal Scientific Advisor was standing next to the former Chief Minister of Goa, that is Manohar Parrikar ji, with the aim to show that the central government supports the initiatives taken by the state governments. Now, Our focus is more on, as you must have heard in the previous lecture, the focus is now, if you want science, technology and innovation, you have to bring in critical and emerging technologies. Now, some of the critical and emerging technologies you people all must have heard, that is artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotics, Internet of Things, quantum computing, 3D printing, augmented reality, virtual reality, this is the thing of the day, and blockchain and so on. There are so many. And actually the previous professor spoke about so many critical and emerging technology in the area of chemistry. So these are certain common emerging technologies which are applicable in all fields of science. Now, why do we need this critical and emerging technologies? The question is an obvious question. Because we need to answer to global challenges. Now, global warming is something that I think every child knows these days. So this is something the whole world is facing, and together we all have to stand and solve these global challenges. We also need to at the same time conserve our natural resources and also secure our future. For this we need technological competitiveness in the national as well as the global scenarios. We need to minimize our infrastructure investment, economic security and deploy solutions rapidly. So today my talk will be on one of these critical and emerging technologies, that is Internet of Things. Now in 1969, ARPANET, that is Advanced Research Project Agency Network, delivered its first message, which was a node-to-node transmission from one computer in University of California in Los Angeles to the Stanford Research University Institute in USA. What he tried to do is he wanted to send a message called login. Earlier we knew that all the communication that we were doing was through telephones. So he attempted this, and we knew the computers to only be doing processing of data. So he attempted sending a message from one computer in one city to another computer in another city. So he wanted to transmit the word login. So when he transmitted the word L, the message was received on the other end. Then again he transmitted the word O, and that also was received at the other end. The minute he transmitted the word G, the system crashed. So this led to that is why we say the first message that was transferred from one computer to another was called low. And of course after that the internet journey has been, this is all about the internet. So the internet journey has been really, really fast going. And over the period of years, a lot of things have been made. Now of course I will not talk more on the internet, we will go on to the Internet of Things. Now this is a slide of this person called Kevin Ashton, who invented the term Internet of Things, basically to describe where the internet is connected to the physical world via sensors, including radio frequency identification. So this term he just used because internet was such a common thing, so he used the word Internet of Things, and that became the buzzword, and that was globally accepted. So over the next year, public interest in Internet of Things has really taken off. In 2000, LG actually announced the first smart refrigerator. In 2007, the first iPhone was launched, and number of connected devices exceeded the number of people today. Today, the number of devices connected to Internet of Things is much more than what is the number of people connected to maybe your phones. And in 2009, Google started testing driverless cars in 2011. You must have heard about Tesla, inventing this driverless cars. So now we'll try to understand the next slide. What is the difference between Internet and Internet of Things? Now, Internet is basically Internet of people. That is communicating, transmitting data, and so on. Whereas Internet of devices is connecting devices. So you have this red light, you have this router, you have the coffee vending machine, and you have the sensors in the garden. All these are connecting to each other, communicating with each other. So Internet of Things is communicating through devices. Now, how this became possible? Now, if you know, when if you order any product from Amazon, there is a barcode. Below the barcode, there is a number. This is called the unique product identifier. So with the coming of the unique product identifier, Internet of Things became possible. Because if things have to communicate, we have to know each other. Suppose I want to, I go to any place where I show that I'm so and so. I have to show a unique number that belongs to me. It can be a passport, it can be an Aadhaar card. So similarly, when they have to communicate with each other, they have to have a unique number. So with the coming of the unique product identifier, this thing became possible. Now, these are the IoT devices. If you see, this is, can I show this? Connecting devices, you need a medium, and the medium is a network connection. It should be internet, it should be Wi-Fi. That is what it has to be. And then similarly, Internet of Things can also be connected through sensors. If the devices have sensors in them, and if you have a Wi-Fi connection, the sensors can communicate with each other. So this is a figure which is depicting how IoT devices are connected. Now, this is a picture which shows how the IoT works. See, this is automation with IoT. Sensor information is sent to an IoT gateway. This is done through a Wi-Fi router, and these are the various communication protocols are there, which is MQTT and HTTP. You all must be knowing about HTTP. MQTT is basically connecting machine to machine, and this is called the message queuing telemetry transport. It's a machine-to-machine Internet of Things connecting protocols, and it is between a client and a server. And it actually enables a lot of fast data transmission, just like your WhatsApp and Messenger services. HTTP, of course, you all know it is a TCP IP based communication protocol that is based on delivering of data. HTTP, I am sure all of you are very familiar with. Now, this is the interesting part. A smarter world is one where everything is accessible effectively, quickly, and easily. So, you all must be wondering, what is Internet of Things giving to us? We all want comfortable lives, we want easy access to things, we want things to be done without human intervention. And that is where Internet of Things come into picture. Now, Internet of Things enables smart homes, smart healthcare, smart city, smart industry, smart grid, smart transportation. Over the next few slides, I'll explain to you one by one. Now, before this, of course, this is a journey of the industrial 1.0 to 4.0. I'll skip this slide, I'll not dwell more on it. It is basically trying to show that right from 1784, right up to present day, how we have progressed. In industry 1.0, it was more of mechanization, 2.0 electrification, 3.0 automatization, and industry 4.0 more on cyber physical system, where we are primarily connected by cyber physical system and the Internet of Things. Now, this is the slide which shows how Internet of Things is enabling all the emerging technologies to work together. The center is Internet of Things. Whatever Internet of Things data it collects is uploads on a cloud computer. I am sure you all must be knowing. The children are very smart these days. So I'm sure you'll be knowing how it is uploaded on the cloud. And cloud computing is done, and this data is processed, and artificial intelligence uses this data to make some advanced algorithms which helps us to forecast things or predict things, and that is where the automation comes in. Similarly, on the left hand side, that shows how, basically this slide is showing how all technologies can be interconnected through the Internet of Things. Now, as I said, we always basically want to know what is there for us. So, where and why? Where the wireless things are and why? Most IoT smart devices aren't in your home or phone. It's there in the factories, in the business chain supplies, in so many other places. Over the next few slides we will see. But this slide basically shows the different sectors who are using Internet of Things. About 4.1% is being used in transportation, 7.7% in security, 8.3% in retail, 30.3% in healthcare, and 40.2% in business manufacturing, that's supply chain. We will see over the next few slides how this is being used. Now, this is the healthcare access in India. This is the present status. India's public healthcare system has sub-centers, primary healthcare centers, you also may be having in your area here, and community health centers. So many of these do not have lot of facilities which people require. So these are some of the lacunas of our healthcare system. So India, Government of India is making lot of interventions, bringing ICT, that is information communication technology, and Internet of Things, is bringing into picture to connect the healthcare centers so that even people sitting at the remote corner get the best of health facilities. So there was also creation of a telemedicine task force has been done in 2005, and guidelines and recommendations of IT infrastructure healthcare has also been published. Under the digital, I don't know how many of you know, I'm sure you people know there's a Digital India movement going on in the country. So under the Digital India program, India can be transformed digital, empowered society and knowledge-based economy. That is the vision that we all carry. Now, this is where if you all can familiarize, during the COVID times, if you must have seen, Government of India also started this where you can talk to your doctor through a virtual mode. Of course, this doesn't involve Internet of Things. Internet of Things comes when you are sick and a device sends a signal to the doctor and to the doctor or to the hospital saying that this person is sick. That Internet of Things, that device may be a sensor in your smartphone, it can be a sensor in your smartwatch. The smartwatch sensors has all the parameters of your body, it is monitoring. The smartwatch sends a signal to the nearest health center. The health center sees that person, it also sends a GPS is enabled. The GPS, the health center knows that so-and-so person in so-and-so house is sick and his parameters are so-and-so, his blood pressure is this much, his other health, his heart is not functioning properly. All these things, the parameters are transmitted to the health center. The health center is connected, the device in the health center is connected to a doctor. Doctor immediately sees and he says, yeah, this person requires immediate attention. So that information goes to a device which talks to a driver in an ambulance, and these are of course things which are not done right now, but this is what we envision. The ambulance starts, it reaches the home. Now if a patient is alone at home, how the door will open for the ambulance. So that sensor is also there in the smartphone on the mobile phone. Through the smartphone on the mobile phone, the person can open the door and the ambulance comes with the stretcher, picks up the person, and immediately he gets the medical attention. This is what we are envisioning in the near future. So this is a thing which a heart surgeon in Bangalore, Southern India, gives a teleconsultation to a patient in Calcutta. This is what was made possible by Government of India during the COVID times. So basically, this is showing that we can telemedicine and remote consultation can be done, consumer healthcare including wearables, which I was just mentioning example, connected imaging, inpatient monitoring, and so on. Now this picture is actually, you all must be very familiar with how the vaccine reaches the end user. The vaccine starts from the manufacturer, then it goes to the airport. It is taken in the box in the cold storage. It's taken to the airport where it's transported to the aircraft. From there, from a truck, they carries it to a national vaccine store. Then it goes to the provisional vaccine store, then the district vaccine store, then to the health center, and finally it reaches the people. Now, how Internet of Things plays a role here? If these devices, that is the aircraft, the truck, the computer in a store, all are connected, they start communicating to each other. Suppose the end user, that is at the last stage, comes to know through the sensor that the truck or the aircraft is delayed due to bad weather by an hour. This truck will not start. It will wait. Because in that way the truck is also saving energy and also the waiting time of the driver. So these kind of things, the devices, and you don't need a human interface. The devices are interconnected and through sensors all the information is passed on. Now we come to the smart grids. Now smart grids are electricity grids. These are things which normal electrical gadgets cannot give, electrical grids cannot give. Now, for example, smart grids allow a power company to assess system health in significantly more detail than what is possible with a normal grid. So what happens? So smart grids, I'm talking about electrical grids. If you make them smart, they are able to send messages that the health of the system is falling down and it requires immediate attention. So we will not have power outage, we just have here. So this is one thing. And secondly, the smart meters. The power company can discover the real-time power demand. Suppose through smart meters they get an information. That is of course AI. It gets information through the AI that the power, it's going to be very hot in a particular place. Through the sensors, the devices, the message is sent that the power demand is going to increase. Similarly, the power generation increases. So these are smart meters play a very important role. And similarly, if there is going to be rain, the power demand is going to be less. So you save on energy. So these smart devices, when they communicate with each other, they actually enable a lot of saving on natural resources. This is what I told in the very first slide, that we need to protect our natural resources. And a smart grid has another advantage which a normal grid does not have. You all must be knowing about renewables. That is, we are trying to generate electricity from solar, from wind. So from renewables, smart grid can easily accept power from the renewable sources, which electrical grids as of now are not able to do. And then also, if there is a terrorist attack, a smart grid immediately sends a message through the sensor that somebody is, trying to trigger some kind of unusual kind of behavior is observed. A device sends a signal, and immediately the action can be taken. Now we come to precision agriculture. Now this is again an example. Now suppose you have a garden. You have sensors in the garden, where the sensors check what is the humidity in the soil. As soon as the humidity in the soil reduces, immediately it sends a signal to another sensor, which sensor installed in the sprinkler, that please, that the soil is becoming dry, the plants need water, the sprinklers immediately start. You don't need human intervention. So devices talk to each other. Similarly, precision agriculture is something which the farmers actually require to save on the irrigation cost. The precision agriculture, they'll be able to record through the sensors. The sensors communicate to each other that now pesticides are, there are a lot of, you need to give pesticides to the plants. You need to also give fertilizer component to the plants to have a better growth. All this communication is done through the sensors, and this is how the IoT actually helps in precision agriculture. You save again on your resources. Now of course this is again an example of this. So here of course what I just told you, it helps us in crop monitoring, climate monitoring, crop monitoring, cattle monitoring. If there is a tag on the necks of all the cattle, what is the movement of the cattle? The tag will also be able to, through the sensors, will be able to monitor the health of the cattle. So the farmer knows the health of the cattle, his cattle is bad, he can immediately start providing them medicine and also take care of them. And then of course the greenhouse automation, which has been earlier mentioned. Now the biggest example here is of the business as supply chain. This is just an example. Through your device on your laptop, on your smartphone, you can monitor the business supply chain. Now this is how it is done. You have various sensors, and this is of course a router, which is happening allowing the real-time supply chain visibility through the tracking in real-time location, through monitoring real-time condition station, and through analytics. Now the next slide of course will show you. Of course I'll go back. Now this slide shows that basically how it is done. Suppose a business house maybe having his business all over the world. He transfers whatever stocks he requires from one country to another. For this he will require an aircraft, he will require a truck service, he will require maybe ship. All these things are interconnected with something similar to what I showed about the vaccine. The sensors are interconnected, they communicate to each other, and sitting at one place he is able to monitor exactly where the fault lies, what is the health of his system, where suppose his truck load is not full, you can put more of load in that so that he saves on the space and also on the fuel. These are the things that Internet of Things is making it possible. Now, management is anything which Internet of Things is making it possible. In this, through the devices, through the sensors, a waste management company can monitor whether the bins that are placed in the colonies are they full or not. If the bin is only half empty, they will not send the truck for collecting the waste. If the bins are to a considerable level, they will send. Not only that, it also prevents the theft of the waste bins. Generally, the waste bins are stolen. So he can sense through the devices that yes, the waste bin is being stolen and it needs to be sets off an alarm, and the waste bin can be, they can prevent thefts. So these are some of the examples of this. Another example that I would like to mention is about the smart transportation. This, of course, smart transportation, as I mentioned about the driverless cars. So this transportation helps in traffic management. Sitting at home through your smart devices and through the sensors, that is Internet of Things, you can actually make out whether the traffic at a particular place is more and whether you can avoid the traffic. Similarly, even the lane driving of suppose buses are moving, in which lane they should move, which is the best lane. So traffic management helps. It helps in this helps in enhancing customer experience, improved safety, operational performance, environmental improvements, and the application, as I said, in traffic management and vehicle tracking systems and all these kind of things. So it helps in, as I said, in smart transportation. Now, I don't know how many of you have heard about metaverse. So metaverse is something, I don't know, how many of you know about metaverse? So let me tell you, suppose I want to drive Thar vehicle. You always be knowing about Thar, Mahindra's Thar. Suppose I want to drive Thar, but I want to experience it without actually sitting on it. So I can pay some money and have the experience of driving a Thar. Now suppose I want to buy some jewelry. I want to go to maybe Tanish jewelry center. I want to feel, sitting at home, I want to feel what is the kind of jewelry available. So it's basically a three-dimensional pictorial thing of your environment. But for doing all this, you require a lot of sensors and require a lot of data. So metaverse actually cannot work without Internet of Things. That is, a lot of data is required. For this, the IoT actually collects data, all of data from all over devices is collected, and then it is uploaded on the cloud. Cloud computing is done, and the data is analyzed, and that is how metaverse works. So IoT and metaverse are actually very closely connected, and this slide shows it that data is the new gold. It is the doorway to information value in the digital world. Without data, the metaverse is just a blank. And metaverse is actually the future. That is how it's going to happen. Now, of course, this slide shows how the growth of smart objects have occurred over the last maybe 15 years. Now, we have to know, whenever we introduce any kind of technology, we have to know what are the advantages and disadvantages of the technology. As I said through my slide, the advantages are it minimizes human effort, it improves data collection in a very fast mode, provides better service to customers, enhance customer experience, uses energy efficiently, that is, we protect our natural resources, benefits the healthcare industry and technological optimization. But it also has certain disadvantages. It is very complex. I'm sure in my 40 minutes of my talk, you must not have understood what I'm trying to tell you about Internet of Things unless and until you already know about it, and maybe you have to study further. And privacy concerns are there. Sometimes people do not want to share data because their private data is also compromised. Highly dependent on Internet. Suppose the Internet goes away, then what you do? Everything crashes. Maintenance is actually very tedious. Of course, this over a period of time, this can be taken care. If more and more technology comes and we are able to address this kind of things. And we do not have standards. There are no international standards for this IoT. And also it increases unemployment. Naturally, if everything is through Internet of Things, people will not get employment. Minimum of human interface, they will not get employment. So this is something which people, of course, will not welcome. So this is talking about the privacy and security. It is only when they go wrong that machines remind you how powerful they are. Suppose we have at home, now suppose a person at sitting in office he just realizes, oh, I left my AC on, or I left my geyser on. So what he has, all the devices inside his house are interconnected. So he just taps his smartwatch or his mobile, and he sees the health of his, he sees that one of his things are on. So through his smartphone, the signal goes, a sort of an alarm rings. And through his smartphone or his smartwatch, he is able to switch off the device. And all the devices at his home are switched off. Thus, he is preventing a disaster to happen and also saving energy at the same time. So that is what suppose his smartwatch or his smart watch or his smartphone malfunction or it is lost, then what happens? So if you are totally dependent on machines, it is something which we cannot imagine what kind of disaster it's going to create. So this is what the slide, that the billions of devices are connected to the internet, generating billions of data points. Due to this, if there is an attack, or suppose there is a cyber attack, I think my next slide talks about it. There is an attack, then what happens? All the systems will malfunction. So this is something, and the hackers are actually every day becoming smarter and smarter. They are more smarter than our smarter devices. So once they hack one system, all the systems go back. So these are some of the things that we need to actually take care. Now, what does this slide basically say? What are we glaring at? Our future. Will the machine be able to control our minds? That is what we are glaring at. We will become robots. And there is a movie called Wall-E which you all must watch. In this, they show that humans are mindless consumers carried around by their hover chairs. They're sitting in the chair and they're carried around. Maybe many of you have seen this. And Sky is the Limit is another movie. I'm not telling you that this is what this is already been shown in some movies. So this is what may happen if Internet of Things comes. We may like it for the advantages. There are certain disadvantages that our mind is not being used. It's the devices that are controlling us. Now this slide shows, of course, this is my last slide, about the distant future, the good, the bad and the freaky. That help us in fleet management, controlling traffic for self-driven cars. I say self-driven cars are come. You've heard about the Tesla. It's a very popular car. Hospitality, maximum Internet of Things used in the hospitality and the healthcare sector. You can have automated check-ins in the airports and all that. Smart food ordering, laundry collection, room service and so on. Then AI writing their own codes and others. So we can envisage that once Internet of Things are there, artificial intelligence will be communicating with another device which is having an artificial intelligence. So you may have AI hacking another AI. So we have a cyber war among machines. This is what we can actually envisage. So this is all that I have to say. So I hope I have been able to, at least, if you already know about Internet of Things, maybe I have educated you a little more about the advantages and disadvantages. Otherwise, if you do not know of Internet of Things, taking a cue from a talk, you must study it. This is one of the emerging technologies that is coming up, and you must study about it to know what the future holds for us. Thank you.
Dr. Naini ma'am, the principal sir, our colleagues and students, it's my privilege to be here. At the outset, let me thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity. And Mr. Manohar Parrikar, as Chief Minister, had a lot of vision for this state. On this birthday, I seek his blessings for all of you as young students. He wanted to see a prosperous Goa. I wish that happens. Presentation is ready. Just now you heard the talk on Internet of Things, from dumb machines to smart ones. Probably if I apply the same concept, how dumb we have become and can we become smart in managing our natural resources. That's the crux of the talk. It's simply put, plants, people and the planet, let us take a journey. And to involve in everything, little bit of history is required. So what I am going to do in this talk, let's see little bit of history, both the geological as well as the normal history which you study, how the plants have changed the shape and scope of the world, the politics, demography, then we will see what we are supposed to do. That's what I'm going to do right now. Now, if you look at geological history of our planet Earth is about 4.5 billion years, 4,500 million years, and only 500 million years about that time, land plants are formed, on which most of the plants which you see here, they are known as flowering plants. They started appearing about 135 million years ago. And as compared to that, the last one you see, Homo sapiens. Bar is not even seen there. We are less than 3 lakh years old. But these three things which are formed at various points of time form some kind of interaction. Planet Earth with the plants, plants with the people, people with the plants, people with the planet Earth. This complicated interaction has led to a lot of things. So our focus will be answering these 5 questions. How plants have been playing an unimaginable role in changing the entire scenario related to everything, whether it is demography, language, politics, history, civilization, behavior, health, etc. How few plants are posing a threat to the environment and overall biodiversity. This is the second question. And how the vegetation of the past has influenced the climate of the geological past and continuing to influence the present. This is the third question. And how the plant blindness, ma'am was explaining about dumbness, I will explain about the blindness little later, can lead to disastrous consequences to the planet and existence of the human species. And lastly, why the plant shall be the focus of significant scientific research. Only 5 questions. Let us see one by one. And you know, when we talk about biodiversity, it includes plants. They are not distributed uniformly across the globe. They are concentrated in few spots. Some of these spots have been picked up where the plants are present only in that area. More than 1,500 species are present only in that area, and they are also undergoing threat. 36 biodiversity hotspots have been identified. 4 of us are there in our country. This is the base. First thing, the plant resources are not distributed uniformly. What does it mean? That means some of the things are present only in certain areas, but they are very essential for the life. You take this, you know this, black pepper. I'm not going into those details, that is the usage. You can actually look at the last point here. Sorry, where is that? Oh, sorry, it will not come. Pointer will not work on this. You look at the last point, 408 CE. Some people went and besieged Rome, and to release them, they demanded a lot of things, including gold, silver, silk tunics, hides dyed in scarlet, and last thing, 3,000 pounds of pepper. That was the value of the pepper at that particular time. And there was time when gold and pepper was exchange weight to weight. You give 1 kilo gold, I will give 1 kilo pepper. That was the stage. But if your papa goes and tell your mama that I am going to get you 1 kilo pepper, which is equivalent to 1 kilo gold, definitely she will not appreciate at this stage. Okay, that was at one stage. That was the value. Why am I talking about this? Because Europeans could not survive without the spices and salt. That is one of the reasons we were very rich. Not only this, there are other spices also. And this is a history book. In science, Vigyan Parishad, what history has to do. And our Honorable Prime Minister always talks about India was an exporting country. What were they exporting at one stage? They were basically exporting biological resources, especially plant resources, especially the spices and medicinal plants. And more than 80% of the export belong to our country at that particular stage. And this is an evidence which I show. And if you see here in this, there is a place, Muziris, in historical past. It is known as Kodungalur in Kerala, where Romans have established their outposts. The background information, if you see, there were exchanges, even people married. There was marriage between Greeks, Romans, and Pandyas in South India. A lot of exports was going on. And you won't believe, we earned so much. In Tamil Nadu alone, in more than 200 places, gold coins of Rome has been excavated. That much money people were earning. So this is our wealth. What I want to say here is plant wealth is our wealth. Okay. But history changed. You know, in, sorry, I think that's not there. In 1453, this important place known as Constantinople, now it is known as Istanbul, you must have studied in your history, was captured by Ottoman Empire, Ottoman Turks from Byzantine, and this was the only route through which Europeans used to come. Arabs used to go and trade with Europeans. That was blocked. So people were forced to find out new route, sea route to the our country, because our country was the major exporter. They could not survive without these spices and all. Why am I talking about this history? These plant resources, which were blocked by these people, made history. The science made history. That is what, you know, right? So this is history again. Columbus believed that India is on the other side. He went there. We say that he discovered America, but the truth is that even 500 years before that, Leif Erikson was the one who went from Europe, and then they settled somewhere in the border between Canada and America, the present day America and this. What is the result of this? He made 4 trips to these islands, and lot of things have happened, which is not taught in the history. Why did they go? Basically, they wanted to find out the sea route to India so that still they can trade, they can take the spices. Plant is the important part there. And we will not read all those things. This has led to one particular tribe completely wiped out in 25 years of time. From estimated 250,000 people of that tribe, they have come down to 14,000. Why it happened? Because of 2 things. These people indiscriminately massacred them when they went there. They used to catch them alive and then throw into fire. History doesn't talk about this. Second, they were not exposed to certain kind of diseases. Now these people who are immune, they carried the germs with them and inoculated them. Okay, means not intentionally, it so happened. Okay, and beautiful history of these things can be seen in this particular book by Jared Diamond. Right. And when we talk about plants, we just talk about the plants and uses. How the plants have played an important role, we have to see. You look at this, sugarcane, people have taken from our country. Along with the sugarcane, people also, British have moved the people to cultivate sugarcane elsewhere, especially in West Indies group of islands. Today you listen to cricket team, some of the name will be of Indian names. How they have come? Because our people have gone along with the sugarcane to cultivate. That is one story. But this has led to one of the most inhuman thing in the human history. What is that? The slave trade. What they used to do, they used to cultivate sugarcane there, process it, bring the sugar to Europe. From Europe they buy the things, go to Africa and sell. In Africa they used to buy the slaves. This is the advertisement. Slaves available for sale as well as for let bade in Konkani, right? And people were betting this is the most sold traded stock at that particular time. This is the history created by the plants, which we have to be aware. And you know, rest of the history. Later on, Afro-American, Obama has become the president of the same country later. So because of this venture for the plants, colonization has started. This is in 1800. Only few countries are in color. By the time 1936, most of the Africa has been colonized and they were under the colonization of different countries. So this is history. We were never taught in history. Beyond that, no, they came as a traders, they colonized. What are the various effects they never used to teach? And we forget, by the time we come to the British history in India, we forget that the plants were responsible. Okay, same way the Portuguese history. This is Vasco da Gama's journey. Again, I will not go. Earlier they used to come like this. Okay, through this link, they come here. They always used to travel along the coast, but no sea route has been found out with the results. You know these plants? Yeah, cashew, our own lifeline in Goa, right? Chili, including cola chili, which we have geotagged, you know, geographical indicated. Cinchona against malaria, groundnut, papaya, pineapple, potato, sunflower, tomato, tobacco, avocado, annatto, anana, you go on. Okay, I'll stop there. What is common thing about all these things? None of them are from our country. They are all from South America or Central America. Without this, now we cannot survive, some of them. Can we think of cooking something without chili? Mirsan? No. And the story is very interesting. I told you about the value of the pepper. We were using only pepper in India. So when they brought chili, first they gave to friends, come on, you try, no, it is very tasty. People loved it because it is much more pungent. Then they said, can you give some more? It is not there. Okay, take little I have. Then they started bargaining. You give 5 kilos of, means whatever weight, and I give 1 weight of the chili. So we traded very valuable things for very cheap things because it is exotic. The taste is different. How the whole food habits have changed in our country. Now most of us have ulcers, that, this and all, thanks to chili. The whole landscape has changed. You go to Kerala, you have cassava, which has come from Brazil again, rubber plantation, which has come from Brazil. Why am I showing here? I'll come to that. We are talking about climate change. How these are also, they are contributing to economy, no doubt about it. How they have also taken away a lot of other things that we have to discuss. And if you come to Goa, cashew equivalent here. So we are doing both. Now I am asking culture, talking about culture. What is culture? Who defines the culture and how do you define? Is it the language? Language contributes to culture, no doubt about it. Is it the landscape? Landscape is including the plants, what we have and all. And food, what we eat. Clothing, People say, oh, what is so special in Goa? I want to eat that. Fish curry rice. Okay. Right? It's like that. Food also defines the culture. Clothing, manners, the way we express. Now you look at all of us. Most of it is not ours. What are we talking about? I am talking to you in English. It's not us. The dress I am wearing, my grandfather never wore this. It's not ours. And food what we are eating, mirchi or whatever you take, potato, tomato, not ours. What is the culture we are talking about? Fortunately, beyond this, little more is sticking to us, so we have to preserve that. Okay, right. Now we will come. The scientific part of it. And there are teachers here. We know we have to publish in journal information. It goes for peer review. Mostly it goes to 2 people for peer review. This is one book published in 12 volumes by Dutch Governor Van Reed from 1678 to 1703. And how many people reviewed this information? 30 physicians, Ayurvedic physicians sat, gone through every information before publishing. It's a wonderful book which showcased the medicinal plants of our country to the Europe. Why am I talking about this here? We have a lot of medicinal resources, but our research is not focused on medicinal plants. Still we can do a lot of things, like what China is doing. Just now Ayurveda conference has concluded. In my talk there also I told, we have to have different focus for medicinal plants if we want to compete and if we want to make money for our wealth for our country. That is why I am showing this. Those who are interested in these kind of things, please remember this. Background information is very essential. Okay. And interesting thing here is, this is related to Goa something. These 3 people, you see, Rangabhat, Vinayak Pandit and Appu Bhatt. These are Konkani Brahmins who have gone to Kochi for various reasons. I will not go into the history, they have gone from here. These people helped Van Reed to compile the information. And this has got historical significance. In those days, there were no printing machines like what we have. All the 750 plants they have drawn using different techniques, processed in Amsterdam, they published it there. And I don't know, from last you cannot see, there is something written here. They are the names. One in Latin, means English script. Another one is in Malayalam. Keralites adore this book. Why they adore? First time Malayalam has seen the print in this book. That letter, what they have written, handwritten. Third one is Arabic. Indian book, why Arabic? Because Arabics were the traders who were trading our medicinal plants to the West. They were also making money, we were also making money. This is 3. 4, you see, Devanagari. It says lingua brahmanica, Brahmin's language. They thought it was Sanskrit. Finally, they found out that it is Konkani, because these 3 people have helped Van Reed. And for your information, still those names are used in Goa by the same local names. It's very interesting. Right. And who was the inspiration for Van Reed? This is Garcia da Horta. And can you see this? It is in Portuguese. You know what is that? That is the title of the book. Almost 1 page or 3/4 of a page. He was a famous pharmacist cum physician. 1563 this book was published in Portuguese from Goa, printed in Goa. You know, first printing press has come to Goa in whole of Asia. You know that? Yeah, this is the 3rd book ever printed. This is the first botany book ever printed in Asia. 1563. First book was printed in 1556. So we have history associated with, this is actually medicinal plants book. Okay, so I close this history. Now I will come to the contemporary things. Then again little bit I will go back to the history, because you cannot make the present without history. You know, you go to Darjeeling, you go to Assam, you go to Munnar, or you go see some Bollywood movie of Jitendra those days. You will be chasing around and singing some songs in tea estates. But these were all wonderful, tropical, wet, evergreen forests at one stage. They have gone. They have gone. Of course, they started earning money, now we started earning money, but the ecological disaster which it brought cannot be compensated with the money what we are getting today. Okay? India is one of the major exporter of tea, if not the most exporting country. And worst part is, you look at this, how much of pesticides are being sprayed there. And without the pesticides, the first 2 leaves which come, it goes, it is exported abroad. The remaining with the pesticide residues, we process, then we pack as our tea. I am a tea lover, but still we should know what we are actually drinking. My point is not that. One, you know the level, only this much tea estate. It will also absorb carbon, it will sequester carbon, it will reduce, as long as something is green, it will absorb and it will reduce the carbon level. So we can say climate change, it will work. But what was there was 3-dimensional. A forest with huge trees, next level trees, shrubs, herbs. It's a 3-dimensional absorption, which we flattened, to 2-dimensional absorption. We must understand this. Why I am talking about this. Later I am going to tell whether plantations can help us. Only little. Natural forests help several hundred times more. That is the point I am making. So, before taking tea, please think a little bit now. Of course, they will promote. It has got antioxidant, you will never age. You look at me. I had lot of tea. Okay, if you want to believe that. We'll go back to history a little bit. Tea in India was introduced around 1850s. Before that, British was taking tea from China and selling. And British government, East India Company was doing that. It was almost bankrupt at one stage. So they were, this has become elite drink. They were selling it in America. They were putting a lot of tax. And whatever be the tax, suppose if you are increasing tax by 100% to Bollywood movies, will we stop watching Bollywood movies? Still we will go and watch. It is like that. Some kind of addiction, right? And they put so much of tax, then finally in Boston, the Tea Party, December 16th, after 3 days it will happen, 1773, they threw all the tea boxes into the ocean, into the sea. Then immediately after 3 years or so, they got the independence. So tea has got a major role in actually America's independence. The plants, ultimately I am talking about the plants. Not all the plants are which we use, Tyclo, that this, we have around. There are a lot of impacts at the global level. This is what I am talking about. Now we will go. Beautiful Coca-Cola. And Coca-Cola is the only drink, if someone is drinking, you snatch it going by cycle, they will not get angry, they will smile. That's what advertisement shows. Okay? And someone said, I love Coca-Cola because whether he is king of Brunei or Kalangutkar of Goa, they have to pay the same price for Coca-Cola. Egalitarian, that is okay. You know what is the ingredient in Coca-Cola? These are 2 plants. One is coca, another one is cola. And drug cocaine. Cocaine comes from this. Cocaine comes from this. Till almost 1909, Coca-Cola was having this drug. Later on only they de-cocaine. Okay. But of course, hopefully it is not being telecasted or recorded. I can say, otherwise they will sue me. They say they have de-cocaine. We don't know how much trace quantities are there. Of course, chemistry is there, Bhattacharya says. Is still available. Why do we get addicted? I am not sure. I am just asking this question out of like this. So please don't go for that. Not that it is having, but some trace somewhere will make you to addict. Sugar itself is an addiction. This is an additional addiction. Right. This was a famous cinema poster at once, maybe 10 years ago, I am not sure. What is the, this film talk about drug menace. I didn't watch this movie, I just saw the review and I took this. Drug menace. All the plants are good, plants are food, plants give shelter, plants give our dress, plants are medicinal. Good. Not all the plants are good. Starting from tea to Coca-Cola to any drug. Of course, one of the drug comes from the same plant, which gives Coca-Cola to us. Right? And why am I talking about? Today, we have elected governments and we have parallel government run by thugs throughout the world. The money comes from the drugs. These drugs are basically plants, whether we are talking about marijuana or what is that, cocaine or whatever it is. They are all coming from the plants. So certain plants have to be discouraged. We cannot grow them. Okay. These are beautiful plants. You know lantana, which is there all around. These are water hyacinth. I will not go into other names. You will get bored, botanical names and all. What are these? These are the weeds. Weeds are the ones which have originated elsewhere, which go to some other areas, uncontrollably they spread. So what? So what, right? They spread and they will not allow you, your local plants to survive. We talk about food security. If they occupy the places occupied by these plants, our food security is in question. And just I was talking to Dr. Tomar, we were traveling from Madgaon to Quepem, we were coming. On both the sides, there are grasses, no? Beautiful, what we call pennicillum. They were not there 10 years ago in this road. I have been traveling for the past 30 years on this road. They were not there. They are weeds. What happened to the local plants which were there? Same way. You take all water, this one. People were actually fishing in every pond and every waterway. That is the protein. Protein without any cost. They go fish and they used to take. Food security was there. Nutrient security was there. Once it covers, it actually, the fish cannot survive down because they need planktons to eat. They cannot survive. So they don't have fish, nothing. All our natural resources are being spoiled by these weeds. Even at a local level, if we all join, if we can eradicate, that will be the best. But it will be a difficult task. We have to do that. In most of the places, these are only few weeds I am showing. Most of the cultivable lands, if you leave 2 years fallow for some reasons, that's all they occupy. It is very difficult to control. So our research efforts should be on all of these things, on medicinal plants to prosper, for our health. When I say medicinal plants, Madam was also talking about COVID, pandemic situation. How many had allopathic medicine at that time? Apart from thanks to our Prime Minister, which has gone in a big way, this one, vaccination. Mostly we depended on local plants. Maybe it is an appeal to man. Ma'am, even if we get the information from throughout the country, that resource itself, what people were taking as kada, you will see amazing diversity. Even within our neighborhood, I see so many formulations. It will be wonderful. These are the things we are supposed to. This is the traditional knowledge. We never marketed, we never looked at it. Our research should focus on these things. And also other medicinal plants. I just took it as an example. And water courses, lands, slopes, even tree tops now they are climbing. Some climbers have come. They go there, choke them, and the tree will die. Our natural resources are getting depleted. Now let us go back to geological past again. How land plants change the planet. We think that climate changes are happening, so plants are becoming extinct. That is true, but the reverse is also true. You look here, initially only 500 million years ago, land plants started appearing. Once they started appearing on the land, two things happened. One, they started sequestering carbon, atmospheric carbon. What is causing today global warming? The carbon dioxide. Once that is sequestered, the planet cools down. So the whole planet cooled down, icy planet has formed. Now these are the recent findings in the literature. Because of that, some extinction has happened. Another one, while they are establishing, they secrete some acids. Okay, the rocks and other things, these acids actually corroded them, released a lot of minerals including phosphorus. Phosphorus got washed to oceans, and lot of phosphorus, that was the limiting factor. So eutrophication has happened and a lot of things have died there. This is another. So initially plants have also contributed to the extinction. Not that they have not contributed, but this was in the geological past. And another study shows that they have shaped the rivers. Okay, meandering of rivers. Otherwise it was flood everywhere and all. They shaped it and all. I am not going into the details. This is the geological history. Right. Now we will come to. Yeah, I have some time. Plant blindness. That's what, when ma'am talked about dumb machines becoming this one, now we are all plant blind people. What is this plant blindness? There are so many plants around, we don't even care. They are there, what they are, how they are useful, is it useful? Someone is cutting, we don't bother, what is the disaster? This is generally put together is known as plant blindness. If you extend it a little more, they also call it as natural deficit disorder. Not only plants, anything related to the natural resources. Okay, this was proposed by these two people in 1999. This has got a lot of consequences. Those days, all these forests, natural resources, including plants, were managed by the villages. Now villages are, everyone is fighting for their own income and other thing. They don't bother about, you are cutting one tree, oh, acha, you are selling it for 1,000 rupees, I will cut 5 trees, I will make 5,000 rupees. Okay, this is known as tragedy of commons in environmental literature. So we have to come out of this plant blindness. As students, you want to go for science, you can take any specialization, but these are fundamentals for our own survival. You have to participate, go around, look at the plants. You ask your grandpa or grandma, they will give a lot of information about the plants. That's my appeal to you. Then you will become, see, we may create a lot of things, but ultimately our environment should be good, ecology should be good, we should be able to breathe good oxygen. We have realized it during COVID. Oxygen demand was so much, but oxygen is freely available provided by the plants. We never realized that. Okay, right. Why the focus of study and research shall be plants? I made the base now. I have only few slides, but I will be talking about this. We talk about sustainable development goals. One of the important aspects in meeting these sustainable development goals is ecology in various forms. Okay, biodiversity above the land and below the water, and all those kind of things. Ecology is very important. And see, normally we talk about country's security. Country security, when we talk about our defense system, missiles, which are very much essential, and we are doing great about that. But what about the internal security, which is also part of food security? Most of the people in some countries, why are they rebelling? Because there is no food available. There is no food security. If you have to be strong, you have to be strong both internally with good food security and externally. Externally, we are doing great. Of course, internally also we are doing, but we can do better. Food security is important. This is what one great Tamil poet has told. I will translate, I will not recite in Tamil. Good hills covered with good vegetation, which gives crystal clear water, shade, is the good defense of a country. The first defense is people should have good food, good health, so that we can go and fight our enemies. This is what it says. So SDG goals, food security I talked about, climate change. We have seen that earlier, plants themselves have brought ice age, right? Then now we are cutting the plants. Why ice age has happened? Because they sequestered the carbon dioxide. Now what we are doing, we are cutting the trees, and so those trees have become fossils now. Now fossil fuels have become from the past trees. Their ghost is acting today. We are using those fossil fuels, again releasing the carbon dioxide. So it is double dhamaka in the sense, a negative sense. You are producing more carbon dioxide on one side, and you are cutting the trees, so it is increasing manifold. So global warming will happen, climate change is happening. And these are all non-linear responses. It's not that you cut this much, only this much temperature will increase. There is a threshold. Beyond that, you don't know how they are going to respond. There are so many intricate factors involved. It's not that you draw a linear graph, you can correlate it. This is always non-linear. And how to cope up? You might say that, let us plant trees. Before planting trees, we have to take a vow. Let us not cut the forest which is already there. I told you the reason. In a forest, if you take a 10 square meter land, the amount of greenery at a different level, herbs, shrubs, third layer trees, second layer trees, top layer trees, and emergent trees. It is three-dimensional. Like we have apartments in 200 square meter area, so many floors are there, so many people can live. If you construct only one floor house, only 5 people can live. Same way, if you go for only tree plantation, it can absorb only in that layer. If you have forest, it can absorb in so many layers. This is the first lesson we have to learn. Then policies should be appropriately, they are being formed. It changes the politics in most of the time. Of course, I will not go into the details. There was one Western Ghats report, panel report by Madhav Gadgil, a great ecologist. And in Kerala, they burnt it. And he said, please don't do this, it will be a disaster. Exactly, of course, we should not talk. People say you are insensitive to talk about it. Exactly same thing happened. With one cloud burst, the whole area is being, landslide is happening. Because we don't have the vegetation to hold the soil, right? So there is politics involved and everything involved. Terrorism I already talked about, how some plants which are used as drugs are running the parallel government and the terrorists and are actually targeting the democratic countries using this. Then medicine, and this I would like to talk a little more. Our country is endowed with at least out of, I am talking about flowering plants, 22,000 flowering plants. More than 8,000 flowering plants are recorded to be having some medicinal properties. And much more is not recorded. It is in the knowledge of the people. We have to record that. This is one. So our research should be ethnobotany. We have to go to the field, document this research, uses before it is lost. This is one. Why? We can actually prospect our country using this knowledge. Two, we have to have at national level missions to work on this, let us say 500 selected medicinal plants with all the full-fledged thing, and you will be part of that. Okay, so this is the second thing when we talk about the research, and this will actually strengthen our country, our health, our wealth, our food security, everything will. Okay, the pandemic has taught that particular lesson. I can go on and on, but I will not, because you have to ask some questions too. Okay, you are talking about it, food security and all. Yeah, we have genetic engineering, technology. Of course, it is great. We have to use it. But can't we go for that and say, do everything? Everything cannot be replicated. If you want food, or you want wheat or paddy, you can apply it and you can grow, you can do all those kind of things, because ultimately it depends on who does it. If government is doing it, government does it for the people. If Monsanto is doing it, they are doing it for the profit. I will tell you, maybe the next one. There is a beautiful movie, The Seed War. It is actually talking about some companies, seed companies, I don't want to name them. They take our original seed varieties. Under the patent regime, if you can genetically modify, you can patent. If I found out a new species which is naturally occurring, that cannot be patented. They modify, they genetically modify. To the extent, they put a terminator gene. Okay? What is that? You cannot grow those plants again. You have to buy every time, go back to them and buy. It is your wealth. Just because they have technology, they can take all of you into their hands. There is no other go. You want to buy? Anyway, a lot of things will happen. I will not go into the details. We have already lost a lot of paddy strains like that, cultivars like that, which can grow in salty areas, flooded areas, dry areas. We have lost a lot of them. We have to preserve them. That is also science. We can modify. We can give it to our own people without the terminator gene technology incorporated. Okay. So this is the science part of plants I am talking about. So these are very essential, but these are not very passionate. That means people will not appreciate. Can you tell who discovered art of cooking your rice? It is there. We also cook. We eat. We will not bother about that. This is what Vasudeva Kutumbakam, open knowledge. Our country is known for that. Of course, when it comes to foreign countries, we have to patent, we have to sell our technology, but for our people it should be free. For that we have to do, not some other company from elsewhere. You can promote Indian companies where you have at least some board. There should be some, I don't know much about commerce and other things, but that is one. So with this, we conclude. Okay? We learned only few things in this short discussion. Plants influence everything, right from people to the planet. One, we cannot underestimate it. That's my purpose. Second, plant blindness is dangerous to the planet. Most of the things which are happening is because of that, because we don't bother. Someone is cutting, we don't bother. In fact, we go with our own axe and cut few more, because we also want to benefit. Plant science is for everyone, and not just for botanists. Because most of the knowledge, hidden treasure. Ma'am said that data is gold. Similarly, the knowledge is gold when it comes to the plants. That knowledge is there with our local people. This we have to document and apply with the modern technology for the plants. Then we will be great. Then plant conservation and research holds the key for our survival. If you lose everything, actually yesterday I was listening to a lecture. Stephen Hawking has mentioned this. Our immediate task is to find out another planet where we can actually go and settle in 100 years. Because this planet cannot be, is not sustainable, is not going to be sustainable, it is not livable after 100 years. This is his prediction, whether you like it or not, that is his own statement. Sometimes you start believing, maybe it is true. Sometimes you believe that with our all technology we will be able to change it. But the way we are slipping, especially COP27, we could not agree on anything. People were pulling in different directions. It's not that they don't want people's welfare, but companies, multinational companies' welfare is much more for certain countries. They will talk on their behalf. But this is politics, international politics. We can't do anything. So we have to understand, if you have to strengthen our country, our health and wealth, we have to strengthen our research on plants. So with this, I again thank everyone for your patient listening and organizers for giving me this opportunity. Thank you very much. Can take questions, if any? Yeah, ma'am is also there. You didn't ask questions. If you don't ask questions, that is not good respect, You can ask in Konkani if you don't want to ask in English. Someone will translate, ma'am will answer. Right? Yeah, go ahead. Whatever it is. Take the mic. Anyone? You can ask in Konkani, you can ask in Marathi, you can ask in Hindi, Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, Kannadam, I can answer. You can ask in those languages. At least say yes or no, right? Lecture was boring. Say yes. That also you don't say. Okay. Yeah. Since you were supposed to ask question, I stopped. I went fast and stopped early. Otherwise, I would have asked.
I think, sir, there are some questions written down.
You have to take it.
Yeah, sure.
There are questions?
Once again, let me request students, if you all still have any questions, you can please stand and. Okay, so there are some questions. What role does climate change play on, I think this is trading of plants. What role does climate change play on
Trading of plants.
trading of plants?
Okay. Yeah, a wonderful question because I don't have answer for this. What role does climate change play in trading of plants? There are the simple things. Due to global warming, whatever we are growing, we were growing yesterday, we may not be able to grow today. And in future, we may not be able to grow at all. This is the first thing. So we will not be able to export, trade, one. Two, with the increasing temperature, more and more pests come and attack. Our yield goes down. This is two. Three, with increasing temperature, the biochemical mechanism collapses. You know, no? When we get a fever, 102, 103, 104, people get fits. Beyond that, we go into coma. Same way, plants' biochemical mechanism collapses. And since you asked this question, I would also like to say something. We always talk about average temperature increase throughout the globe. Average temperature increase is very deceiving. You should not believe that. In some areas, temperature has gone 6 degrees, 7 degrees above the normal. In some areas, it has gone down. So plants cannot survive. If 5, 6 degrees, if it goes up, there is one lean phase in the life of the plant. For example, seedling state. At that time, if it increases, they cannot survive. So don't go by the global averages. You go by the local realities. Okay? So your yield will go down, pests will go up, you will put more pesticides, you will put more fertilizers, water will not be available, there will be physiological stress for the plant. It is continuous. Then what you will trade? You will not even get for your own eating. You understand that? So it has got, it's a nice question. Whoever has asked, thanks to them. You only asked, oh my God. I thought this handwriting is familiar to me.
Okay, the second question is, are there any specific plants which can sequester carbon efficiently?
It is like, you are the only daughter, I suppose, at home, Sankrita. If you have, let us say, Mama is having 5 daughters, not that a sons should not do, I am talking about the reality. One daughter does wash vessels nicely, cooks nicely, mops the floor very well, then you will put on one daughter everything. Same way boys. I am just taking your example. We don't do that. Every species has got its own ecological role in any ecosystem, however small or big that ecosystem is. Now COVID virus has come. Small one. You see how one thing has changed the whole world. It changed the dynamics. Like that, if virus can do that, every species is having, there is something known as butterfly effect. Any small change which can happen somewhere has got roller coaster effect on other organisms and all. So we should not look into those. See, most of our research is going on there. This absorbs more pollutants. This absorbs more carbon dioxide. You cut the whole forest and plant that, which is foolish. We should not. Sometimes scientific achievements apart, that is for science. How to use it, we have to see. We cannot rely on this, the most efficient and all. We have to rely on the ecosystem. Yeah. You have some questions, I suppose. Man, okay.
So the next question is, how organic farming can give us food security?
Okay. There are two things. We do agriculture for two things, basically. One, I need to have my food, so I do this agriculture. Another one is, I have to sell my crop yield and make money. These are two things. And yesterday, interestingly, it's a coincidence. Yesterday, my friend from Rajiv Gandhi University was here. He was delivering a talk to our students. Remote tribal areas of Arunachal Pradesh never got affected by COVID in any way. They are isolated. Food supply, there is no problem because they were always depending on the local resources, their own crops, etc. They never felt COVID has come and gone in remote areas of Arunachal Pradesh. Okay, so your question is answered, though not directly. Okay, for what you are cultivating, as long as we cultivate for our own purpose, organic farming helps. If you want to do a lot of exports, then organic farming doesn't help. Then what to do that? Though organic farming products get us more money in return, but yield will be less. But what we don't realize is, with other kind of farming, modern farming, you know how much input we are putting, the fertilizers, pesticides. You know on everything how much government is giving the subsidy. That we are not calculating. We calculate only what we put. And how much of microflora is lost because of the pesticides. How many good pollinators are dying because of pesticides. These are the ones which go on. 80% of all flowering plants are pollinated by the insects. Most of our fruit crops and vegetable crops are pollinated by the insects. If you put pesticides, your yield will go down because there are no pollinators. No, we can put hormones. They are doing it. All the seedless varieties which you are getting because we are pumping hormones. But we have not tested how good or bad they are for our health. Okay, of course I teach a lot of things on this. That is a different topic. I'll stop here. We are not sure what is the effect of them. And taste is very bad. You are also. Yeah. Last question for me.
No, there are others from the students. My question is, okay, how to go about the plant conservation? Is it just the planting of trees?
That's what I told. When we talk about plant conservation, first, don't cut what is there. Priority. Second, restore what has been lost. Restore what has been lost means, if a forest is degraded, you look at adjacent forest, bring the same plants and restore it. Then only, where there was a lot of degradation, nothing can be done, then you will go for plantation of tree. You cannot cut something and say, no, I am replenishing. That is disastrous. That should not be done. Okay. Yeah. This is for myself. For me only.
Yeah, there are two questions for you, sir, and then there's one for ma'am from same student, Dheeraj Taipikar. He's from our college. So he has a question about seed war. So he asks, why can't the government take initiative to secure the seed patents in the region for the well-being of the locals?
Very deep question. Seed patent, unless you modify, you cannot patent the seed. You have to modify, genetically modify. Then only you can take patent. Otherwise, you have to preserve your existing cultivars, which farmers have chosen over several 100 years, if not several thousand years. That we have to preserve. That's not possible. But there is, under ICAR, there is a big organization, MBPGR, and Farmers Seed Variety Protection Act. Everything is there. They are doing it. Okay? Your question is appreciated.
There's another question. one of the species gets extinct, how it can be recreated, or is it almost impossible to recreate from non-living thing?
How to recreate? You know, whatever organisms we are having today living extant on earth is only 2% of whatever has lived over the geological history. Extinction is a natural process. Don't worry about it. But what we are talking today is extinction because of one species, that is human species. That is what has to be stopped. Coming to recreation, there are a lot of efforts to recreate. For example, they were trying to recreate a mammoth because they got DNA from buried in ice and other things. These are all the effects. But still there is time for this recreation. Definitely our technology will help to recreate. But recreating what you do. See, sometimes I used to ask certain rude questions. For example, we are 8 billion people of human beings, belong to the same species, but each one is different. We don't look alike. If I say, okay, you can kill as many people as possible, take 1 or 2 people and we do tissue culture and create the clones. Will you agree to it? We can't do that. The diversity has to be preserved. It is not the species. Species is a concept. We are all concept of one particular species, but we are all different. Each one is different. The expression, everything is different. Though, for your information, Linnaeus had a tough time distinguishing human species from chimpanzees. Really tough time he had. That is why he called them as Homo sapiens. Sapiens means one which is having wisdom. Whatever be the meaning of the wisdom, but that is how he is segregated, not based on morphological features.
There's a question from Government School Fatarpa. Besides pesticides, what can we use for plants?
Besides, you want to use pesticides, that means, or in the place of pesticides, what do you want to use? Of course, lot of local technologies are there. You come to Taligang, which is just close to university. These months, they cultivate vegetables. After sunset, before it is too dark, people gather all those dry things, then they burn them, sprinkle some water so that smoke will come. Since it is already cool, the whole smoke actually covers the whole field. So pests will not be surviving. That is what they do. There are a lot of alternate ways of doing it that can be done. Of course, people use the cow's urine and other things with a lot of other things for this. We will not go into the details. There are technologies. Done? Thank you.